So congrats.
Yeah,
Yeah.
that's what, and this is, and guys, Gigi, our co-host, Gigi, chime in on this because I know you don't really have a leaning either way. But what do you think? What happened? What went wrong?
Well, what went wrong? I do believe I actually kind of feel the complete opposite. I feel like yes, it does come down to
Okay.
communication, but opposite. Even though like for the instance with the debate when I was watching it, to me Trump came off like some tinfoil hat, like old man who has get off my lawn type status, energy.
Yeah.
Like he's like, oh man, this guy has no idea what he's talking about. He's talking about like UFOs and crazy shit. And
Right,
then
eating babies or dogs or whatever it was.
but then on the flip side, like Kamala wasn't really giving us like a plan. You know what I mean? Like
right.
people
I
were
get-
scared about certain issues, and we just like wanted answers. And I feel like it was there was a lot of like deflection there, and I think that's
I
what
think that's the
caused it.
same thing, though. I think that is the disconnect in communication because while there was policy, I don't think it was communicated in a way like you can go read the policy. You can read the 10, 20, 30 page plan on one specific thing, such as giving business owners $50,000 of debt-free kickstarting. Like you can go read all of that and then see what the fiscal impact is going to be, what the economists are saying on it, but people aren't going to do that. So she doesn't convey it in a way of like, hey, business owners, I'm giving you free money. If she doesn't make it just simple in one line, no one's going to hear it. And
Like, for
Trump
example,
makes everything one line and people hear it.
Yeah.
Even though there's no policy behind it.
Exactly. Like, for example, I didn't even know that. Like, I've been kind of following both like pretty closely, and I didn't even realize that was even like a thing that they were pushing for or stating. So, and like, again, it just comes down to communication. Like, it was like a whole cluster of like reasons.
There's so much, and guys, I want historically, the Democratic Party has been viewed as the party of the working class, but here we are in 2024, and something didn't stick with the working class. So how did Democrats get to a place where they couldn't even hold on to some of their core bases? We lost across the board. The United States didn't look this red since Reagan ran the first time. I mean, there was red everywhere. So there was an extreme disconnect, a lack of communication, a lack of getting out there and knocking on doors, which Kamala said she was doing. But do you guys think, and there's an 800-pound, well, probably elephant's a little bit bigger. There's a big elephant in this room where people are talking about, well, she's a woman, so that's misogyny, and she's a black woman. Do you guys think that played a role in any of this? And be honest. I mean, if it did, it did. If it didn't, it didn't.
1,000,000%. We answered at the same time on the opposite.
Yeah, but I'd say I don't really. I can see how it can definitely have an impact. I don't think. I mean, it might have even been like a deciding factor, but I don't think it's like a huge. Like if it was like neck and neck, I could see it putting Trump ahead enough to win. But like not like a huge like, oh man, like that's what was keeping her down this whole time.
Oh, I think the opposite. I think misogynoir, when you add those two things together, is deep. But I think misogyny trumps it all, especially when you have people who live within the margins. They're like, I love black people. I voted for Obama. Like, cool, bro. But there's so many people who still refuse to see a woman being able to hold a position of power that it is wild. And you can look at the interviews. You can go from just like the random people talking on the street, and it doesn't matter which side they land on. And this was my mom, even up until probably 2 years ago. But the number one complaint she had about Hillary Clinton when she was running was, I cannot see a woman holding that position. And this is somebody who I've, over the years, turned into a very progressive thinking person. And even with all of her, like, she'd probably put a trans woman in the office before she put a woman in the office who's cis. Because she's like, well, at one point, they identified as a man before they transitioned. It's so bad that they cannot. And it comes from, let's be honest, evangelical Christianity
fundamentalism
has this umbrella system where it goes God, then men, then women, then children, and there's a line of succession and submission, and they cannot, even if it is a woman, even if it's a white woman, They
Uh-huh.
cannot get over that hump mentally, and it makes
Crazy.
it really hard for them to look at a woman in a professional sense, and I think that played a huge part in it, because if people were voting on issues,
Yeah.
Kamala would have win. If people were voting
Yeah.
on woman power and let's go
Uh-huh.
feminism, Kamala would have win. Wham,
Right.
one.
I
But
was with you 100%. I know what you're saying, so we're good.
but she unfortunately is up against this wall. I made a TikTok about it the other day, and you know what, man? I think we're not gonna have our first woman president by election and by elective choice. I don't think it's ever gonna happen. I don't remember who said it, but there was a president in the past and said,
It was Lyndon B. Johnson who
was it?
said that
Yes.
it's
Yes.
only gonna happen in this particular circumstance, which we had it happen exactly the way he said it was gonna happen. And you're right. If Kamala I would say Kamala has her foot in the door. She's still very young. She could easily do it again because Joe Biden took it in 3 times to become president. When he ran 3 different times. She could, but are we gonna back her the same way we did this time? $1 billion worth of backing?
I don't think so.
Listen, I
And I think, yeah, I think it will take somebody being vice president and stepping in, and then by not by force, I won't say that because that comes across wrong, but I think by default, becoming the president is the only way. And people are saying, no, I don't want it this way, but I made a TikTok calling for it, saying, I wish Biden in these last 3 months would step down. I wish he would resign. So for
okay.
the next 3 months, we have Kamala as a president, and people will see that the world doesn't burn. Like,
'Cause
we don't need to
I've
get
heard
anything
this.
passed, but we just need
Okay.
to see that wars aren't going to start, because that was their number one complaint,
Why
that
would a
women
war
start
start? I mean,
wars.
some of the strongest leaders in history were women. People don't pay attention.
And they don't generally start wars. All the wars have been men. But, like,
All
they
the
just
wars
need to
are men.
see that she can handle the office for even a 3-month period before we'll ever elect another woman, and I think this
Okay.
is the time to do it. Yes, it wouldn't be like winning, it wouldn't be like women breaking the glass ceiling, but then the people
They would have to put her in the
have an
record books,
experience to look at and say, "Oh, it's possible."
So Gigi, you're a cis man. What do you feel about this? Do you think that Joe Biden should step down right now and give his VP a chance to not shatter the golden glass at the ceiling, but kind of look through it a little bit so people can see her running in office?
Well, I don't think it's going to be looked at like that. I think it's going to be looked at more like a political stunt as opposed to like, as to like what it actually could be. Like, hey,
Right.
let's like see that she can actually do this. I feel like the majority of America would think it's like a stunt. Like,
Okay.
oh, we just wanted to get the first woman president. We wanted the first woman president to be a woman of color. That's where I feel like a good bit of people would take that as
Oh
my
yeah.
opinion. So
We've
like, it's
seen
kind
it.
of like damned if you do, damned if you don't.
True.
Has anybody got the text message that says report to the cotton fields at 800 hours? Is
I'm
anybody got
not
the text message?
visibly
No.
black, so I haven't gotten those, but yes, I know it's happening.
You can't be black with them blue eyes though, but I'm kidding. You are.
Where are they finding? Is there a registry of black people out there? That's what I'm most confused about. So, like,
I
for the listeners who don't know, there are vast amounts of text messages going out
Yes.
to Black Americans saying
Uh-huh.
anything from "We're going to be at your house tomorrow to round you up," or
Right.
"On January 20th, you need to report to the cotton field,"
Mhm. This is all
or
facts.
that from "You're going to start calling me massive," like text messages from
Random
numbers and varying degrees of, like, "We know where you live, we will be there tomorrow," to just being like kind of a troll. But like some of these
Yeah,
are like really doxing situations,
it could
No.
and
be
they're
because they
going out
have
to
all the
black
information that's been
individuals.
doxed many times.
Is
Yeah.
there a list out there? Like, how is this
Well,
happening? Is there just like a
I'll tell
list
you
of like,
this.
here's all the Black Americans to text?
Well, I mean,
How are they getting this
with
information?
anytime you put in through an application, they ask you what your race is, which
That's
I have
true.
no idea why that's a thing.
I
And I
don't think
know
I
that
believe that either. Yeah, that's ridiculous.
it's stupid. I know that corporations get a tax write-offs for it if they hire somebody in this race. But I thought that we just disbanded affirmative action. So why are you asking for if I'm disabled, if I'm a veteran, if I'm black, if I'm white, if I'm Hispanic?
Well,
That
veteran
shouldn't,
makes sense. That's a little different.
it never has made sense. But I think when they dox these like AT&T companies and these other places and they steal all their data, they know who we are. It's in their data who we are. So I
Yeah,
think that's how they
yeah.
get. Yeah, that's what I believe.
No,
But
that
going
makes
back to
sense.
what we're talking about here,